This movie clocks in at 220 million, which honestly, for a fare right nowadays, when it comes to comic book movies, is not that bad. I think personally, I'll take this one in this case. I think personally, this one will succeed. I do not think it may necessarily do as well as Spider Verse, but it will recoup its losses. 220 times two equals 440. It's probably going to land 650, 700, give or take my mind. I think Ezra Miller's stigma right now, I think can hurt it a little bit. But as we have learned from WB or Warner Brothers, Ezra Miller, Amber Heard, they kind of don't care about these sort of things. you know, at the end of the day, they're just like, all right, well, if it makes us cash, screw it, we're okay. And I think the backlash is going to hurt it a little bit, but I think it's going to make decent cash. Will it make Spider Verse cash? Maybe not. But in my mind, I think I'll say 675. It'll make.
Right, and that really becomes the question with a movie like this. Obviously, you have the fanboys that would probably die for DC regardless of the movie. But it becomes the question, what is stronger? The vilification of Ezra Miller or the nostalgia factor of Michael Keaton coming back to the cowl? Especially since this is going to have him, plus it's still going to have Ben Affleck's Batman
Yes,
involved in it as
I forgot to
well.
mention.
So I mean, it's really going ahead and blending the divide between like the old Snyderverse, which is really slowly becoming like edged out,
Hmm.
and this soft reboot that they keep saying that the Flash is going to be for leaning into James Gunn's DCU. So it really depends on if you're a layperson and you're not like hardcore into this sort of stuff. You may want to step away from this unless the Michael Keaton thing really gets you, because this almost feels like a movie that is more for the particular fan base and
Hmm.
not necessarily for the wider movie going audience. And that might be its downfall in that respect. Yeah, 220 is not too bad as far as like something of this caliber when you look at some of the money that was spent on the others. But DC has been faltering a little bit between Shazam 2 and Black Adam.
Hmm.
Not a lot has been going into DC movies as of late. Not a lot of people have been going to it. So one can only hope that this is just so much going on at once, but it's just enough going on at once.
I think the Ezra Miller thing is only hurting a very small group of people, predominantly women in this case. And I'm not justifying anything here, but the Flash also, to be fair, was not targeting that demographic. I think DC is focusing more on the guy aspect of it, where Marvel's trying to focus really more on the female demographic. I think what Ezra Miller did and everything like that, I think is going to hurt to a small degree, but like you said, is going to be offset by the power of Michael Keaton coming back and Ben Affleck coming back, and we'll make it better. Now, for those of us in New Jersey, yes, we are aware that Ezra Miller is from Wyckoff and home of also Tara Reid and the Jonas Brothers. But irrespective of that, I think he has enough star power in there despite everything to make it interesting. I think this may be a better film or better series that he's got than the Harry Potter prequels, which people kind of forget he's even in at this point. So I think it's cash, but I don't think it's gonna do well. I think
Yeah,
it'll be
especially
okay.
yeah. Also, the other thing of it is this is coming in after Spider Verse. This is going to be the
Mhm.
next weekend after. So, is it going to overtake Spider Man? I don't
Mm,
know. It may come in as a
50-50 in
number
my
two
mind.
showing, and Spider Man may be enough to hold on to the number one spot. So, as long as it does well enough worldwide, then fine. But I don't know if it'll do as well domestically.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing lately. A lot of the movies, I mean, I'll use Fast X for example. That movie died here in the states, but it did pretty well overseas so far. I think the tune of about four-ish to one, $4 to one,
Right, but that's also a franchise that's about like a decade's worth of movies long, or 2 decades
and
actually.
and also films very heavily outside the U.S. anyway.
Yeah, so it
You
has
know,
that international appeal. This, eh,
Eh. Now, what's interesting about this is because you talked about how James Gunn and Warner Brothers is trying to phase out some of the old stuff here. This is, in my mind, part of the old stuff. So if this movie does well, this could cause a little bit of a complication for Gunn.
right, but as far as we know, this might be the last of the old stuff. I mean, I know
Mhm.
people still talk about Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. I don't know if we're ever going to see that or when we're going to see that, considering he still wants Momoa to be Lobo. So it's
Mhm.
like, do we still show him as Aquaman in a movie at this point? I don't know. You
Well,
know?
also, here's the other side of it too. The backlash towards Amber Heard is far greater than the backlash, I think, to Ezra Miller.
Mm.
You know,
Oh,
because a lot of
DC's got
dudes
so
came
much
out of the
going.
woodwork and be like, "I went through this too."
Right.
You know, not as many women, I think, who go to see a movie like Flash will be like, "This is," you know. Also, what I think hurts the whole Ezra Miller situation is he didn't really do any of that stuff to basically anybody of name recognition. Amber Heard did it to Johnny freaking Depp, and so as a result, hashtag justice for Johnny. There was no hashtag for insert girl's name here, whatever their names are, because we don't know.
At
You
this
know?
point, DC just gets like all the bad press. Even Zaslav over the
Yeah,
weekend getting booed at the commencement speech at college.
dude.
DC
Well,
Warner Brothers can't catch a break.
we almost wonder if the writer strike is going to hurt that a little bit too. I don't know. Find out. But
We'll
okay,
see.
we both agree cash, but not as strong as the last one.
Yeah.